Hello, hello. So today we're going to learn a little bit about directional lines in color value using your markers. So I have not finished with this one in particular, but I figured we do a little section of this together just to make you guys feel just a little bit more comfortable with your markers. These markers are really great. They're really bright. They are relatively easy to control, but the one thing that I will say about them is a little bit of them goes a long way. So we'll kind of talk about that as we go. Your markers, obviously I'm not here today. Your markers are going to be where my mat cutter is located, in those little drawers if you brought them and dropped them off earlier. So if you're wondering where they should be over there. So anyway, so I'll be looking at this and value shading and all. One of the things that I did do is I looked at my original research when I started to value shade these things. So whenever you actually start on yours, that's what you're going to be doing as well. So I figured a really good place to actually start with your directional lines would actually be the tiger's face. So we'll do a little bit of that together. Let's see, here we go. Okay, so the main color that I'm going to be using for this one in particular is kind of this brownish orangey color right here. I'm also going to be using a little bit of yellow, and then I'm going to be using a little bit of orange, but I'll end up putting this one down first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the stripes and all of that. So this stuff, and I'll show you just one more time, this will be going more just on the face part that's not the stripes there. So I'm leaving a lot of white on this thing, so I'll kind of show you. So wherever you see a dark line right here, so this hat is overlapping the face, and so what you would end up doing, I am just making a series of lines. I'm doing some directional lines, so it's kind of like I'm creating a cast shadow of sorts under this hat, and I'm sort of going like that way. And I'm making just a series of lines there. Also, you'll see there's kind of a little heavy area here. So I'm just trying to imagine the way that the fur is going, like in the direction that it's going. So you can kind of see that. I'll come around on the other side. And then there's an area here where you might find a darker line right there. There are some other areas, but the one thing that I wanted to show you guys today, okay, so when you go from this and you're trying to figure out what you need to do here to blend things, one of the things that I did, and you'll kind of see I did some kind of dark lines going this way, I ended up just randomly trying to fill in those little areas, but I needed to leave it light, so I'm trying to kind of tie things together a little bit between the two areas. So I'm going to go outside of where the stripe is, and I'm kind of just making diagonal lines right here. It's not necessarily an outline, but it's, you know, it's going in the direction of those lines that I did. So here I'm going to do a few little filler diagonal lines there. I don't want to do it too terribly dark. I'll kind of do a little here, On this side in particular, I'll do something very similar to what I did. So I'm paying attention to just the direction of the original lines that I ended up making here. This is actually, we're going to end up introducing a little bit of gray on these lines here, the little stripes a little bit later, but kind of paying attention to the direction of these lines here. I've got just a few, like this is a kind of a darker stripe. I'm just outlining that. In the ears, there's a little darker area here. The head, you know, is going to be, you're going to have like more rounded lines right there. So you're going to come outside of this hat area and create there, it's sort of a curve. So if you can imagine if you were an ant, if you're going across the head of this little tiger, your lines would be fairly curved, but I'm keeping them light and broken as well as I can. On the outside of these little stripe areas, I'll do a little bit of brown there. I may even fill in some with a little bit of brown. Some of these are going to be filled in more gray. Let's see here. You have a little stripe here. May do a little, I'm not going to do as much. I may just give it a little information there, not much there. On this little spot, and this is actually in the picture that I was looking at, you do have a little bit of a dimension. So the little side of the face right here is kind of curved. I'm just making, kind of see little curved lines right there. Okay, and then if you look at the top of this nose right here, just kind of outline that. This curves up this way. So this curves that way. This curves this way. This right here, I'm just going to outline a little bit where these glasses are. There is a little bit of a darker value in this little spot here, and it kind of draws the eye to the eye right here. And then this, I'll do a little something, not much in this area because we're leaving this relatively light. There'll be a little bit of orange right there. I'll do this side the same way, very similar. So I'm just kind of outlining, I'm bringing it out to that part, and then I'm going to bring this up, going that way. Now the bridge of the nose, you would end up doing something like this, but it is a relatively light area, so it's going to consist more of kind of broken quick lines. I'm barely like pressing down on here, so I'm like, I mean, it's very wispy. It's almost as if I'm not even touching it when I did those little wispy lines, because it has a highlight in the middle. So just to let you know that.